Meanwhile, as regular as Riri reign, with the release of a much ballyhooed Blade Runner sequel, pulling in rave reviews from all the same cocksucking critics who assured us Star Trek 2009 was an immortal motherfucking masterpiece that would hold up forever, so too is it time for old spiteful Anita Sarkeesian to fire the fuck off, showering us all in unbridled essence of shrill.
According to movies like Blade Runner, our gritty cyberpunk future is going to be just as racist and sexist as the present day. But on the plus side, there's going to be noodle shops. So many noodle shops.
Yes. Very humorous indeed. Hysterical, in fact.
You kiss me.
That's our moody hero, preventing a woman from leaving his apartment and forcing her to accept his physical advances. Meanwhile, the movie itself tries to frame this mind-boggling scene as a seduction. You know, just because there's cheesy romantic saxophone music playing, that doesn't make it any less assault. It's still totally assault.
Hang with me here. She's a fucking robot! What am I, oppressing a goddamn dishwasher by forcing a fucking whirlpool to accept my soiled ceramic seed? Oh, that's right, General Electric. Take it! Take it like you took those Obama bailouts! Take it all! She's literally programmed for his pleasure. Which, if you actually read Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, the novel whose title you titty fucking referenced,
Do androids dream of electric sheep?
presumably after a 5-second skim of the Wikipedia wank page, you'd know the entire point of the story is not the exploitation of women, men, or anyone the fuck else, though that is an underlying theme that the deep-fried hack Denis Villeneuve has apparently seen fit to fire into a full-blown bullshit blizzard in Blade Runner 2049, but that people of all stripes, organic, inorganic, cyborg, and Beetleborg alike, have varying levels of humanity. I think an evolutionary cul-de-sac like yourself whose family tree is a fucking broom would appreciate the transhumanist subtext. The story was written after Philip K. Dick began reading the published journals of Nazi internment camp guards, and it was while he pored over the minutiae of their days, spelled out in graphic Gestapo fashion with only a one-sentence allusion to the screaming of starving children keeping him awake at night, as if describing the obnoxious flittings of a fucking fruit fly, that he reasoned that the person who wrote this journal could not, in fact, be human. He must be an android.
Phil was always concerned about what he called the ongoing battle between the authentic human being and the automotive reflex machine that he would call an android. But what he was saying when he used the word android was he was talking about people without emotions, people without empathy, people without feelings whose sole goal in life seemed to be to only satisfy their own cravings.
What separates the android from the human, you ask? Well, let me answer that with another question. What's the fucking test they use? Specifically, what's it measuring?
It's a test designed to provoke an emotional response. Shall we continue?
They were designed to copy human beings in every way except their emotions. And the designers reckoned that after a few years, they might develop their own emotional responses.
It ain't like it used to be, Deck. It's tough now. These replicants aren't just a bunch of muscle miners anymore. They're no damn different than you or me.
You getting anything on the machine?
Yeah, I thought maybe I was getting something. Maybe it doesn't work on these, Deck.
Emotions, motherfucker! Philip K. Dick diverted quite substantially from Ridley Scott and presumably Denis Villeneuve as well, in that while the androids of the novel are utterly unemotional and therefore capable of tremendous acts of evil, the replicants of Blade Runner are far and away the most emotional characters in the entire film.
The main difference between what Ridley views this all in terms of and what I view it all in terms of is as follows. To me, the replicants, or androids if you will, are deplorable because they are heartless, they are completely self-centered, they don't care of what happens to other creatures, and to me this is essentially a less than human entity for that reason. Now Ridley said that he regarded them as Superman who couldn't fly. He said they are smarter than humans, they are stronger than humans, and they have faster reflexes than humans. That's rather a great divergence, you see.
It's not about ownership or exploitation, sexism, or anything the fuck else, and there's in fact just one line in the entire film that alludes to the replicant status as vessels of another man's will.
Quite an experience to live in fear, isn't it? That's what it is to be a slave.
What galls the living shit out of the deliberately disinformative dogshit Sarkeesian spewing the fuck out here is that she's speculating as to the replicants' motivations, as if they're positively wreathed with ambiguity.
You could argue that Blade Runner offers a valuable critique of how our culture oppresses women. Both Pris and Zora are prisoners of patriarchy who have been pigeonholed into roles to please men, and they're punished with violence for trying to live their own lives. Both die at Deckard's hands after desperate fights to survive.
Despite the fact that a single viewing of the laser disc in question will readily confirm what their true motivation actually is.
What seems to be the problem?
Death.
Death. Well, I'm afraid that's a little out of my jurisdiction.
I want more life, Father.
We've got a lot in common.
What do you mean?
Similar problems.
Accelerated decrepitude.
If we don't find help soon, Pris hasn't got long to live. We can't allow that.
See, this is the problem with electing someone whose IQ doubles as their shoe size into dissecting the feminist subtext of a film that even under normal circumstances is infamous for requiring multiple viewings to appropriately interpret. Look, I'm all for a women's movement. I hate it when they just lie there. And believe me, while Blade Runner the original is my favorite film of all time, you could stream the sequel for me on a plane, I'd still walk the fuck out. Because while I haven't seen it yet, I do know everything I need to know, chiefly that it doesn't need to fucking exist, and outright intends to answer questions that would have been best left the fuck alone. A well-made insult is still a fucking insult, folks. If the RoboCop or Total Recall remakes gave us all a reach around, would that have changed their callow cash grab in any material fashion, rifling the remains of a beloved but long since interred fucking franchise? Worse still, it's a mortal certainty they're picking the worst answers to questions that should have been left the fuck alone to begin with. I've said it before, I will repeat for posterity. If Rick Deckard is a replicant, then you just watched a film where a robot, who doesn't know he's a robot, fucks a fellow robot and runs away with said robot. The only thing straighter than that character arc is a Sarkeesian encephalograph. Meanwhile, if, as the novel it's based on, and both people who wrote the original screenplay, not to mention the actor who played him, all specify he's a human.
When I saw that red shit in his eyes, I said, give me a break. No, please don't. And Ridley's tricky. I think probably that was Ridley's. Fuck, it's got to be Ridley's decision.
Whenever I thought that I was possibly being positioned as a replicant, I would seek out Ridley and argue against it, because it was my notion that in context of this world, the audience needed an emotional representative on screen that they could depend on being a human being.
The story really only works if Deckard is human. The entire theme of the movie, which is very sophisticated, unravels. The theme of the movie being the journey of a man rediscovering his humanity. And he goes through all this moral confusion, and he comes out at the end of it a real human being again. There's a very strong thematic point being made. And if Deckard's a replicant, it's like, all that's gone.
That it's a film about a human who becomes dehumanized through the dehumanizing pursuit of finding artificial humans, then through his relationship with one of said artificial humans, after being spared by one of them, he regains his humanity.
The theme of the book is that Rick Deckard is dehumanized in his job of tracking down the replicants and killing them. In other words, he winds up essentially like they are. And Ridley said that he regarded that as an intellectual idea, and he was not interested in making an esoteric film.
Not just a character arc, a fucking brilliant one that critics are celebrating the utter decimation of as we speak. Fuck this sequel, but fuck this woman's asinine analysis even harder, with saucy-ass saxophone wailing in the background. And Anita, sweetie, women's studies isn't a degree. It's a decorative wall hanging. I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
Ridley said, would you be interested? I said,
how much?
Show me the money.
Oh, it's funny because it's true.